Hi, I'm Suneera Madani, and I'm a mom of two, a daughter of an immigrant, and an unlikely entrepreneur who went from scaling an idea to a $1 billion business. Yes, a $1 billion business. Along the way, I learned that less than 2% of female founders ever hit 1 million in revenue, and I became obsessed on a mission to change that. I believe that there is so much gatekeeping in business knowledge, and that we as female entrepreneurs should be learning from other female founders and leaders who have broken the statistics. Since I never went to CEO school, I've had to learn it all the hard way, but you shouldn't have to, because we believe that you deserve to have it all. And honestly, nothing bad happens when women make more money. Grab a seat because class is officially in session. Welcome to CEO School. Hello and welcome to CEO School. I'm so excited for today's two-part series episodes. We're going to do something a little different today because I am just levitating, literally still levitating from our CEO School retreat last week. It was just the most phenomenal retreat I've ever hosted. I kid you not, every time I do one of these events, it just fills my cup in a way that nothing else, like there's nothing else that I do that fills my cup in this way. And I get to host a retreat maybe 2 to 3 times a year, but they are so special. And now I've done this for the last 3 years. We've hosted between my mastermind and between the retreats, probably a little over 10 to 12 of these live events, these intimate retreats between 20 to 40 women every time. And every single time, they just get even more like just next level, leveled up. Our speakers get better. I mean, that is truly the beauty of doing things in consistency, is because you get to do it once and then you get to do it again. When you do it again, you get to do it better. And that's what we do every single time. And so it was just the most phenomenal week. I'm definitely super exhausted, but we had a studio day today. So I wanted to come in and I was like, forget whatever's on our episode list. I want to recap what took place at this retreat and hopefully bring you guys into the setting and share from session to session my biggest takeaways from our speakers and from the workshops. So that's what this next 2-part series is going to be about. It's going to be you in the room for the retreat and the biggest takeaways that I personally got from each of the different sessions. So I'm going to try to do my best to bring that level of energy to all of you so you guys can share in those lessons and learn from these amazing women through the podcast. But I can't wait for you to actually be in the room. Our next retreat is going to be in December. It'll be November 30th and December 1st. It's like that weekend right after Thanksgiving, right before like December stuff starts. And so mark your dates, and the link is live on our show notes. There are only 20 spots that will be available. This is for, 6 and 7 figure founders. And so it is important that this is that right curated room. Literally every single woman that was at the retreat was just multi-level founder, scaling their businesses. And it just brings the conversation is unlike any other room that I've been in. And so if this sounds like this is what is a fit for you and that you're ready to, take the time out to work on your business, learn from the most amazing women around you, create this friendship and just a cohort with women at your level and beyond. And then of course, get a chance to spend 2.5 days with me and intimately working on your business, then you've got to get in the room. This is the last time I'm going to be doing it for this year. And then I don't know when we're going to announce the dates for next year. It'll probably be sometime April of next year, but you never know what takes place. And this is the chance. And so I want to invite each of you into the room, and I want to see you in person. And so if this sounds like a fit for you, go to the link in our show notes and literally get in. And, if this sounds like, you want to learn more, send a note to our team. Once the 20 spots are gone, they're gone. And they always completely fill up. And we always bring in we always only have 20 spots, period. And so then I also invite my private mastermind back to the retreats because they're included for our mastermind members. So they get to come join in as well. And it just makes for like the most amazing, amazing experience. And this time it was truly the best one we have ever had. And it was incredible. So I'm going to tell you exactly what went down. We hosted on like day one, night one, and day one. So today's episode is going to be on the recap of what took place. And so I got to welcome all of the women to my home. This time the retreat was in Orlando. And honestly, I've learned, like, I'm going to share lessons that I've learned in hosting these things. And, sometimes I feel like I stretch myself to do things, to try to push our company and to push myself and to push whatever. But whenever I do things that just feel like comfortable to me, and I've done them before, I feel like that is where I need to focus my time and energy because it comes out 10 times better. So I hosted a retreat in LA earlier this year, and it was incredible. Like if you asked me 4 days ago, I would have said that was the best retreat, that like it was literally one of the best ones I've done, hands down, blah, blah, blah. But doing it back in Orlando again, I feel like I am just more comfortable with my home. Like this is literally my hometown. I have every possible, from knowing the mayor to, what's taking place in my city. Like I know this like the back of my hand. And not that anything there's just this level of comfort just being in your backyard. And so when there are things like if somebody misses their flight, or like what are airport times like, or when something happens, like literally the building that we hosted the retreat at Hi Hello Labs, which shout out to our amazing podcast producers, who you've heard me talk about literally every time I'm on the show. Carlos and Carolina and their team here at Hi Hello is just so incredible. They produce our show. So we decided to actually utilize the space here at Hi Hello to host a retreat, and they have the most epic event space that's back here. And so I'm super comfortable with even the space. Like I know the space. I know how to like work with a decor team on it versus like a spot in LA. Like we rented the most unbelievable, like beautiful mansion in LA, which was gorgeous, but it's a place like that house, like I'd never been in. And so you always like learn as you go when you're having to like do something net new. And so like my first like big takeaway after this retreat is like, why am I trying to change up the playbook? Like just bring the women here. Orlando is such an easy airport to like get to. There's like direct flights from every single place because it's like one of the largest Disney World here. Like this is like the largest like destination. I think it's like the number one tourist destination to come to, like one of the top 3 that people travel to. And so it's easy to book hotels and rent cars and just find just it's direct flights. And so that was like lesson number 1. And this kind of like all these lessons I want to share back with you for whatever you're doing in your business, if you can find consistency in it and trust that. So I honestly think it'll take a lot for me moving forward for me to do a retreat in another city. I also love the fact that people who come here, like they're not from here. Like when we did the LA retreat, or I've done like events in New York and stuff, our audience lives in those cities. And so that's super great. But then some women like go home right after the event, which sounds great. And like that sounds wonderful and it's convenient for sure. However, there is just this like magic that takes place when you put everyone like in a container for 2.5 days, right? And that everyone is around. Everyone is here traveling to be here and is investing that time and energy to really like be present in this space. And so they're like nobody's distracted or leaving or has to take a meeting or anything like that. And so it just feels really, really great to have everybody like in this environment. And what's funny is like where I was going with like having that level of comfort in my backyard, like in my city. We are in like the heart of downtown Orlando is where my offices are. And then the Hi Hello studio is. And so like my office is right down the street, like literally right next door to our podcast studio. And by like random effing coincidence, like just by the luck of it all, the SunTrust building, which is like a huge skyscraper, like we're in the heart of downtown. Next to the building that we're in, they have like construction going on one side, and the scaffolding or like the construction part of the building, it literally fell down a week before the retreat. And so they had blocked off like the main street of Orange Avenue, and there's like barely been any, like you were not allowed, pedestrians aren't allowed to walk and no cars are going through, which the city obviously navigates, like there's other ways to come around to the building. But I kid you not, if this was happening like in New York or LA and I wasn't familiar, like I picked up the phone and I was able to, like I knew exactly what was going on like with the building and with the city. And then we were able to like, inform our team ahead and say, okay, hey, like this is where we need to change parking location. This is how we like created the cutest little TikTok video of like how to get into the building from like the south entrance versus the north entrance, which is closer to the part of the city that's like, or the street that's blocked off. And so something so small and completely out of our control, we were able to like make it like not even like a thing to think about because we knew how to navigate it. So that's like one part of it. But what I love always is when I get to do the event here, I get to welcome everyone to my home. So I usually throw like the welcome reception and like the VIP dinner at my house. And it has been like, I've been throwing events, like I feel like they're just getting better and better. We have like the most amazing event planner. Shout out to Hot Events Planning. Like Jenny has done such an incredible job. She's the one that throws like all of like our home parties and my kids' birthdays. And she really like just went above and beyond for the CEO School retreat party. And it was so beautiful and so epic. And there's just something special about welcoming these women like inside of my home, like to my house. And I feel like it's like this next experience, like at all the other cities that we do it in. And it's been in the past where I've done like rented out a space in a beautiful restaurant. Like we've done the most like amazing steakhouses. We've done the most amazing like sushi places, like all of like the trendy cool. But I think it's just this like next level experience of bringing someone to your home and creating this like beautiful chef experience like in your home, but it feels extra special because you actually have to, it's actually so much more work for it to be in my house than for me to rent like a space like for the restaurant. It's actually a lot more cost effective to do the restaurant because I just have to like create a menu, and like, pairings and, or, beverages, like whatever it is, but we can like prefix it and create that space. And it's so much easier to navigate it that way. But our home, I just believe it's like the next level experience. And culturally, like, having guests is what, I was telling the women at the retreat when I was like hosting them at my home, like it's what we call like barakat, and barakat in Urdu is like blessings. And it's like, not just like the way to describe this word, it's like abundance amount of blessings is barakat. And like guests bring a lot of barakat in your home. And, if you go to anyone's home that's like of any culture, like, your guests are like treated like, my mom says you treat guests like God, like it's the next place is close to God. And so you want to make sure that your guests are just so taken care of and feel they have everything. And so this for me just gives me that opportunity to treat our guests at this like just beautiful experience. And so the home was so beautiful. We literally had the most like amazing decor and just like that CEO vibes. Like I'm also a huge brand snob, and you all know this about me, but it is so important for me to have like my brand be represented how I want it to be represented. And so I feel like I can control more of that experience with like working with vendors that are local versus when I do these things like outside and I have to go hire like outside vendors. I just feel more in control of our brand experience. So it was so beautiful. I'm going to link some of like the reels and stories on the show notes here so that you guys can take a look at just like how beautiful the experience was. We literally had CEO School, like the logo floating in the pool. The food was amazing. We always do like California healthy is kind of like how we select our menu. So we had this like avocado station. It was like an avotini station is what it was. So we're like literally building like our own little like avocado smash martini glasses. We had like a beautiful carving station with like sous vide steak and just like, just a million like hors d'oeuvres and like options for the vegetarians. And we had cocktails and wine, and we like to support like all women owned like vendors as well. And it's just like it was such a like next level experience, and I had so much fun, and it was so intimate and it was so beautiful. And so we got a chance to like around the table get to know each of the different women, and we were like literally all standing. Like one of my favorite moments is like around the pool. And every founder and CEO that was there just sharing a little bit about their business, where they're at, what they hope to get from this experience, and what their ask is. And so like it's so important for us to recognize, like, understand who these women are, but what is it that they exactly need, and how can the women, support them in that journey too. And I think that's what's so beautiful about a mastermind experience, or an experience like this, is it's not about, yes, there's me and I'm going to be your coach and I'm going to guide you and I'm going to help unblock and I'm going to solve problems and I'm going to connect and I'm going to, do all these things for your business, but the power and the magic is really around the table. And so when you can amplify, when you're solo, right, you're by yourself and you think you have to solve every single thing by yourself, you don't. And I think that's probably the biggest advice that I can give to female founders, or any founders anywhere, is you don't have to do it alone. And I don't know where, it's been lost that we can't ask for help. And as women, I think where it comes from is the fact that there's so much pressure that is put on us that we have to handle everything, right? Like, everyone comes to you for everything. My kids come to me, my husband comes to me, like when, my team comes to me, like everyone, you're always having to solve everyone's problems at all times, right? As CEO, as mother, as, head of the household, as head of everything, you are the chief everything officer for everyone. And so you are used to solving everyone's problems. And what happens is, when you get used to solving everyone's problems, when you actually have a problem or where you have a need, you forget that you can also ask for help, right? That is what takes place. And I think why this experience was also so incredible is because you get an opportunity. Imagine having 40 women around the table, 40 CEOs around the table, and you get to say, hey, I need help here. Guess what? We are all solution finders. That is what we do as women, right? That is why women CEOs make for the most amazing CEOs and return so much of capital for investors, is because we creatively solve problems and it doesn't matter, we find the solution. So imagine if you had that power around the table where you could ask that question and you could have 40 of you solving that problem for you. What would that do for your business? It would be game changer, right? So let's not forget, reminder, it's okay to ask for help. And we have to get used to asking for help. That is how successful companies are built. No one does it alone. You've got to have people around you that support you, that will help you find those solutions too. And that is the energy that we have around that table. So that was, night one, and it was just so much fun. And it's just great to blow off some steam and just get to know other women, hear their stories, learn them. And so that pre-event, I think it's just so important for everyone to just get to know each other and get that intimate moment with each other, so that when we go into the business intensive side of it, the next morning, the next day, it's 2 days back to back, literally from 9 in the morning until 5. So it's literally an 8 to 6 packed day. And so you're ready to go, right? And you already know when someone's coming up or they're speaking, or their stories, and everyone, and you get an opportunity to really, get to know the women around you. And so that was super, super great. And my heart was so full. My daughters came to surprise me. They were over at my mom's house. My mom lives across the street. I know I've talked about this before, but she literally lives across the street from me. And my mom and the girls came over, and it was so special for them to see. I really, really enjoyed this retreat. Also, my mom got to actually come to the retreat and just watch me in action. And I got to show her, we had a pop-up merch shop, and she got to shop in the merch shop and just have a front seat. And we got to take the cutest, we had she took headshots, and it was so special for me to have my family. They weren't involved in it, but just for them to see me, I felt that was just such a privilege. And I love it when my kids can see me work. It is it shows them it's not invisible. What I do matters, and I do it for them, and I get to create this experience for so many other women. And I want them to see that. And I just love it so much. And so the girls got to hang out and come see the event, and that just made my heart so full. So that was welcome dinner and the night before. And so we got to Hi Hello Labs, literally ready to get started. And this time we also had our pop-up shop. So this was a beta test. And so why I wanted to bring this up is we were actually testing out our merch, our merch store and our swag shop, to see what were the items that, and we didn't tell the women that we were going to have this or to come prepared for it, but we created the most cute like pop-up store ever, and it had all of the CEO School items that were like exclusive that we hadn't done for production. We did smaller batches so that we could use this time to actually, we have 40 of our ideal clients in the room. And although it's not like this huge beta, right? We wanted to see what people bought most of, what we would sell out of, or what, products wouldn't sell. And so we used this opportunity to really test a few things, tested pricing. And so I want to share this because I think that we expect, I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like people expect me to have everything all perfect and lined up and ready to just out the gate. This is part of my process in building and scaling companies, right? And we have to be able to test and iterate. And you've got to get comfortable on putting something out there that is not perfect, that is for testing purposes, that will give you an inclination, the right data points to then validate your gut, to make the decisions to decide how to move that product forward. And so we use this opportunity to have that pop-up shop and to test it out. And so it was so fun. And I'll definitely be linking our merch store into the show notes. Go check that out because there's some amazing, amazing products on there. And we got a chance to really see what worked, what didn't. And we were so pleasantly, we knew what was going to work and we knew what everyone's going to love. But it helped us validate our gut to bring our products to market. And so we're so excited as a team to take that and now scale with it. And we always started every single day off. We had speakers multiple times through the day. I was leading workshops, but every morning we had a mindset workshop and a mindset session to kick us off so that we can really get into that right frame of mind. And I had Amanda Bible, who is so incredible. You have to follow her on social media. She also was on the show a couple of maybe 2 months ago. I'll link her episode as well. And so she is a master hypnotherapist. Literally she's a hypnotherapist and she's an EFT trainer. She does breath work, all of these things that I'm not fully familiar with, but are so critical and so just calming for our nervous system, especially as entrepreneurs and busy CEOs and just busy women. And we started the morning off with learning about different ways that we can start our morning routines as well. And we really sat down and just did this amazing visualization on a goal that we want to bring to life. And I kid you not, it was so game changer. I've done a lot of journal work and visualization work, but also doing it with with women around you, really just next level elevates an experience like that. We were literally kicking off in tears and hearing some of the women's goals, and I shared my goals, and we really broke down when you are manifesting, right? There's a lot of talk on and I know a few of our ears already of the woo side of of this stuff. Trust me, I am all about the work and not the woo. But I think there is magic when you mix the work and the woo together, right? And when you mix it together. And Amanda, the reason why I called her to be a speaker here is because when I got to know her, I have really felt her approach to manifesting and all of this woo side of the internet is all about aligned action, and I'm all about taking action. And what I don't want women to take away is the fact that we can sit here and we've got our CEO School journal. And I want you to be journaling, and I want you to be doing your gratitudes, your affirmations, and then doing a visualization or doing a journal prompt. But this isn't enough, right? Doing this is it's to get aligned with what actions we need to take to achieve our goals. And that is exactly what we talked about, is how do we take these practices, build them into a 5-minute routine, right? A sub 5-minute routine, so that we can kick off our mornings, whether it's at our desk or whether it's when we wake up and have coffee, or whether it is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 10 p.m. at night when we get to do it. But taking 5 minutes to create that, having that experience around our mindset, to put our goals down, to affirm ourselves, to visualize, to manifest, put this into practice, but then actually taking aligned action to achieve the goals. And so part of some of the the aligned actions that Amanda talked about is if breaking down our goal, which a lot of this you're gonna be like, great, I already know how to break down my goals, but even your manifestations, how do you break that down into aligned action? So if you want to let's say be on the CEO School podcast. It could be a goal, right? Like I want to get my brand out and I want to be on the CEO School podcast. And you visualize this, right? If you want to be here in 12 months, where do you need to be 3 months from now, right? And what actions do I have to take in order to get there in 3 months? To then where do I need to be in 6 months? To then where do I need to be in 9 months? So that I'm closer to get there by the 12th month. And so creating an action plan associated with where do I need to be in the next 90 days, I freaking loved that. And every 90 days assessing, okay, if here's the goal, and I have the goal written out, I have the visualization, I have the vision board and all of the things. What are actually the aligned actions that I have to take today in order to get there? And not just being like, okay, great, I want to be on the cover of Inc., right? In 12 months, great. How do I get to the cover of Inc., right? Where do I have to be today? And what are the actions that I have to take today so that in 3 months from now, I am at the point where I'm at this point where the six months goal is achievable. And then the 9 month goal is achievable so that the 12 month goal is the Inc. cover. And so we broke that down and that was just amazing. Like I loved that. And I'm going to actually take that personally into practice on when I do my journaling and meditations and things like that. From there, we also had a session specifically on, so then we go into like the business intensive side of it. I did a workshop and then I had Janelle, who I want to talk about. Janelle, you've also seen on the show, Janelle Teves, who is the general manager of Bugaboo North America, the stroller company. She literally was placed as the GM and president by a private equity group. So she's not the founder of Bugaboo, but she is the one who runs Bugaboo North America. And she is literally just the most phenomenal CEO and leader. I learn from her every single time that I am with her. She manages like a fully remote team of 80% women. And she has just literally transforms like Bugaboo's like the company, but also just like she's so amazing to learn from, specifically on like what I learn from her all the time is her marketing experience. And she was like the head of Nike when she literally brought like almost like 50 Nike websites for Nike women to market. Like she just has the most extensive experience in leadership roles, in marketing specifically from like, just like in women's brands as well. And I just love her. So she came in to speak and her entire like presentation was really on like the 3 keys of marketing and like what are the different pieces that we have to have in 2023 today. So I'm going to break them down for you here so that you can take away some lessons from Janelle as well. So we broke down marketing in 3 components. You have above the ground marketing. So think of it like a triangle, performance marketing, which is like the middle, and then below the ground marketing, which is relationship marketing. And so we need all 3 of these to have within our marketing and like within our marketing for our businesses. And so above the ground marketing, right, is performance marketing, but it's really around purpose, right? So what is your founder story? How should your story should be deeply like embedded into your product and why consumers will want to purchase like the products from you. And so any successful brand or story needs to have your founder story and your why at the forefront of the brand. Now you may think, okay, Suneera, like we all have these components within it. What makes it different? Well, is it actually translating all the way through? So we literally went through multiple examples, and this is where we get to do hot seats and bring people up to say, okay, your founder story, is that actually resonating within your brand story at the checkout, right? Is it resonating on your website? Where is it on social media? It's not just in our About Us page. So one of the key takeaways that we had was we all have just the most amazing story. And whether you think you don't have a story, sharing that story, like with a community, like, like within the, if you're part of CEO School, like set it like a, invite the women to come hear your founder story and let other people tell you what's special about your story. Because sometimes what we think is like, we're like, oh, that's not special. When we actually share it out loud, there are going to be people like your, like other founders who can say, oh my God, that piece of your story is just what needs to, like, that resonates with me, as a consumer or as a mother or as a founder or whatever, like whatever your product is. you can talk to the people, like you could talk to others around you to go find what is special about your story. And then when you have that story ready, right, making sure that it's actually integrated through your marketing components of your business. So whether that is at the like obviously on the website, right? But I feel like that's like the only place sometimes where I see it. How are you using that when you're actually marketing yourself as a founder? How are you using that? Are you using that within like the customer journey, right? When they're purchasing the product, is it shared through the product experience, right? Is it on the packaging? Is it on the checkout? So how can you incorporate that? Janelle went into like all the ways which we can do this above the ground marketing that drives purpose. Then we have on the ground marketing, right? Which is performance marketing specifically. This is a component that we're all aware of for marketing. And sometimes that's where we specifically go. But there are so many components to performance marketing. So we literally deep dove into paid media, sponsored ads, all of which ways we can spend money to grow your business, right? That's the difference between this middle component, which is performance marketing, is where can we put in the dollars to scale your business, right? And this is what we need to make sure is scalable for your company. And all brands and successful companies need to have a component of this, right? Even if it's organic, right? There still needs to be a paid component to the business for performance marketing. And even if it's social media, right? And it isn't fully like where you're spending dollars, how can you leverage scale for this? So we actually went down and broke down all the different kinds from sponsored to influencer marketing, organic marketing, our warm leads, display marketing, social media, direct to consumer, the different places on our website, everything in between on performance marketing. And then finally, it's this below the ground marketing. It's like the magic underneath, which is relationship marketing. Who do you know? And we all have a list of people that we know. And so the homework that we got from this is truly using the power of our networks. And this is why I'm such a huge proponent of rooms like this, of being part of communities like CEO School. We are the company that we keep. And so when we can surround ourselves with an amazing network, that is how we can leverage to scale our businesses and our brands. And relationship marketing is a huge component of it. So the homework that Janelle gave was making a short list of our contacts. And who do you know, right? If you're like launching the soda, right? Like Poppy, who does the founder of, like, who does she know? Who does she know for product placement, influencers, advisors, introductions, right? Like, and we think that we don't know, but making that short list. And then also knowing that we are, like, one of the things that we talked about is we're all 1 degree away from someone. So even creating the list of who are the top 10 influencers that align with my brand, that I want my brand to be in their hands of. Right? Who are the top investors that I want that align with this? Who are the top, like, what are the top podcasts I want to be in? Who are the top placements or like the vendors that I want to work with? So even when it's about creating the list of people we know, it's also about creating the list of people that we want our product to be in the hands of, right? Or our service to be talked about with, right? So creating that list is super important. So we had this awesome homework assignment and we all went back to go create that list. And what was so cool is, guess what? When you surround yourself with women like this, somebody knows someone or is 1 degree away from that connection. And so just getting it out on paper and socializing that list is also so important. So there was a lot that we deep dove into. We literally went into like those, like the marketing pillars. We went into segmentation. So we like literally went into like how to segment our audiences from like a performance ads perspective. So there was a lot of like tactical stuff that I won't get into here. But honestly, we literally spent half a day on learning about how different ways that we can scale our marketing levers for our brands and for our revenue strategies as well. And then we went into tax planning, reactive versus proactive. So currently right now, we're all probably in the reactive stage of tax planning versus being really proactive about it. And for those that are like, what are you talking about, Suneera? I do think it's important that we go get the right team around us. And that was like one of the things that we discussed, like as women, who are the people that we need to have around? We need our financial advisor. We need our accountant. We need a lawyer. We need our insurance providers, like our insurance vendors. Like these are people that we need to have in our cabinet. And, I was sharing a lot of my personal experiences as well in building my cabinet and bringing women like Michelle and Bernadette to the table, and it was so freaking amazing. We did tax planning. We also did diversification, right? So you accumulate wealth, but then how do you diversify that wealth and make sure that it's being invested in the right areas. We also talked about like exit planning. And that was something that was super, super interesting. I went around the room and I asked the women, do you have an exit strategy in place? And half the women did not raise their hands and half the women did. So that makes me really proud to say that, we are talking about having an exit strategy. And I think that is something that as women, we all need to have an option for an exit for our business. Like what happens when you're too old to run it? Right? What happens when like you're too exhausted to run it? What happens when there's burnout? What happens when you don't want to work with the partners that you've created the business with? And so exit planning is a huge part of a growth strategy. It should not be reactive. It should be proactive. And it doesn't mean that you have to sell your business, right? An exit strategy just means that you have the option and that you are preparing to make sure that your business is being viewed as an asset and not just something that's for cash flow. And so we had a lot of really heavy and amazing discussions around exit planning. And I think that I would say it's one of our top sessions from the weekend or from the week. And then we did have a fun we did that. Then we went into another session with styling for success. So I actually brought my personal stylist, Danielle Nieri, I've been working with her just recently over the last 2 months. And I've learned so much about just dressing for success in a way that's what colors attract money, what colors are there to make people feel closer to you, what colors work well on camera, what colors work well when you want to make a sale, what colors work well when you're mediating something or when you have an angry customer. And so there was so many fun, it was one of those 5:00 sessions at the end of the day. We're having we had this most amazing wine and charcuterie happy hour. And we were all just having a glass of wine and just bringing the fun back in business. We literally had the days were so intense and it was business strategy, super intensive, marketing strategies, wealth strategies, all of that. It was so important to kind of unwind and still related to helping us scale, but just that was the after hours talk. And it was so, so fun. And one of the things that I would say, I do want to leave you all with here before I close out and my biggest takeaway and the takeaway that I want you to make sure that you're taking away is that at the end of the day, we are at the end of the day judged by our appearance, whether we like it or not. We say don't judge a book by its cover, but we do, right? And that, we will judge a person, a book, a company, a product within 2 seconds. Right. And 55% of it is on the features or on the look of it. Right. So the colors, the look, and the in that. But then 38% is all of the things that surround it. Right. So how does it make us feel? What is your posture, your facial expressions, your energy? Do you feel healthy? Does it? So there's the tangible component of judgment. And then there's this intangible component. And so it was really important for us to also tie that back to our brands and how we show up as well as CEOs and founders. And it was a good reminder. And I will say we feel more confident when we look our best, and looking our best has nothing to do with our size or our appearance. It's really about how can we present ourselves and as our company to our customers, to our investors, to our employees, to our vendors, to the public in the way that we want our brand to be perceived. And so it was a good reminder that over the last 3 years with the amount of work from home and Zoom and all of these things, it's great. And it's nice that we can throw our hair in a bun. And I'm not saying I want to dress up every day for work. That wasn't the conversation. It was about how do we leverage when we do have important meetings, when we do have things that we have to show up for, how do we show up confidently? And how do we show up with that right, with the right colors, with the right energy, and just showing up. And when we have that level of confidence, then we also execute in a different way. And that the receiving party wants to do business with us in that way, and with us, with the people that represent our brand as well. So I want to make that important for our teams and for our brands itself. So branding is important, but that also goes beyond just the product and your website. It actually also goes to you and your team as well. on what the world perceives of you, of your brand, and things like that as well. So that was like our end of day one wine and cheese discussion, and it was super fun. And just a huge shout out to all of our speakers on day one, and it was super successful. So that was kind of a high level recap. Obviously, there was 8 hours worth of deep content and the business intensive side of it that hopefully I was able to sum up a little bit, but that was the energy in the room. And, over the next episode I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about what were the day 2 sessions. And I want you to come back for this episode because I go into the CEO dashboard as well as lead gen predictability and some of the strategic conversations that we had on day 2. So I hope you enjoyed this recap of, like, hopefully you felt a little bit more in the room, and I invite you to get in the room. So if you haven't been to one of our live events, I want you to be in the room. The next one is happening, at the end of November, early December, November 30th and December 1st. And so the link is in the show notes. I can't wait to see you there. Screenshot this, shoot me a DM, say, Suneera, I want to be in the room. I want to learn about your business, and I want to personally see you here. So I hope you enjoyed today, and I'll see you next week at CEO School. Thank you for tuning into today's show. If you loved it, leave us a review. We are so proud to bring you authentic conversations, game changer expert guests, and valuable content on and offline. The best compliment you can give us is by screenshotting today's show and tagging us on Instagram at CEO School and at Suneera Madani. We are obsessed with swag, so don't be surprised if we want to send you some. Thanks for tuning into class today, and remember, nothing bad happens when women make more money.